Greetings, African people. I have always asked myself the question, why was Bob Marley shot in Jamaica? Why did Marcus Garvey, after he was deported from the United States, why did he leave from Jamaica and go to live in England? I've asked myself too many times to count, why does these artists who have the best of both worlds, why do they leave from Jamaica and go to live in other parts of the world? I mean, I know they have the right, the freedom to do that, but I always wondered because I always thought Jamaica is so beautiful and it's obvious that they love Jamaica. But why do they leave? And I'm beginning to understand why. Jamaica, being a former colonized nation, with its roots so deeply steeped in African traditions, but overridden by European culture, indoctrination, religion, and our great love for those who are former colonizers. Show this kind of conflict in the people. I'm beginning to think that Marcus Garvey would have preferred dying in England among some people who he perceived as his enemy than live in Jamaica with people who looked just like him, who behaved worse than enemies. I think the artists that left Jamaica had no choice. I think they had to leave because the kind of tribalism that they saw within their own music fraternity, within their family, within their communities of friends, it created a kind of disgust in them that they couldn't stay. They had to leave. Bob Marley, our legend, one who we're so proud of now, but one who was shot in our own country. By who? Was it an outsider that shot Bob Marley? I don't think so. I think it is someone who didn't like what he had to say in his own country. Europeans did some bad things to Africans that were brought to Jamaica. But today, Africans are doing some horrible things to each other. One of the reasons why there's so much violence in Jamaica is because these individuals, these Black people who fail to see their Africanness, who have abandoned their tradition, who hate everything else that is them and embrace everything else that has nothing to do with them or their culture. The adults have failed the young people, and the young people are now held responsible for their actions. Everybody, intellectual and persons uneducated alike, all have a solution for Jamaica's problems, but what they fail to see is that they are the ones who stand in opposition to their freedom, in opposition to their prosperity, in opposition to their mental health. Marcus Garvey must have felt disgusted to have been in the United States of America and done all he did to mobilize African people there. And when he went to his own country, I'm sure he got little to no respect. Marcus Garvey was seen as a criminal in spite of what he tried to achieve. And it behooves me to know that after all this time, if not but for recent, he's still criminalized. I don't know if his record is expunged yet. I know that was something that was in debate, but even if it was done last year, it was a little too late, because we tend to see our brother and our sister as the enemy. Black people don't need enemies. We are our own enemy. How many times am I going to say that? Now, one of the reasons why there's so much violence in Jamaica is not just because of poverty. It's because of individuals not having the ability to communicate. You have to be very careful how you communicate with people in Jamaica, because as long as you're not saying the same thing in the same way that you're saying it, because you might be saying the same thing, but your word, your way of wording it might be different, that could cost you your life. Individuals are so, I don't know how to say this, impatient. They're so close-minded. It's so easy for them to see somebody as disrespecting them. The idea of disrespect now in Jamaica is if you disagree with me, you're violating me. And the whole thing with women being killed in Jamaica is because for the most part, women are not respected there. Now, not too long ago, I came in defense of Jamaican men, because when I lived there 26 years ago, I knew that there was domestic violence. I know that there were men who would abuse women, but not in the degree that I see it now. Are treated. I see how women are spoken to. I see how boys talk to girls. It is terrible. Now, one of the things I want to talk about in this video as well is what I see as conflict resolution. There's absolutely no skill there. They have no skill to resolve any conflict without calling strangers that you don't know terrible names, without making death threats, without any kind of wisdom or common sense. Listen, without wisdom, without knowledge about self, the people perish. They have no knowledge of sense and of self, and they are completely divided. Male against female, father against son, all the ways you can think of people dividing. They manage to divide themselves in every area, every aspect of their lives. Now, I think this is a verse from the Bible that says, a house divided against itself will fall. And I think it's also a speech by Abe Lincoln. A nation divided against itself will fall. The whole idea of asking Black people to come together in their community is now a cliche expression, an idea. And one of the things that I don't like is Jamaicans who have migrated from Jamaica and look at Jamaica through a lens. It's a microscope that we look at Jamaica through. And we always have solutions. Some solution we give for Jamaica is ones that are readily available and used in these areas. And we have to understand, based on their economics, based on, you know, their social upbringing, based on so many things, some of the stuff that works here will not work there. But I also have to say too, that individuals are not open to change. They like the status quo. They like things the way it is. Even when they claim they want changes, if someone comes about and promotes change, what you will get is a fierce kind of attack. And let me give you an example. Went to visit Jamaica, went to a school, and I saw the kids at the break time trying to get their breaks from their tuck shop. And all the kids, they were like mad ants, yelling and screaming, everybody yelling and screaming, trying to get their break. And I remember saying to the lady who operates behind the counter, why don't you get them to line up? And she says, oh, that would never work. So the break period ended and kids went back to class, some of them without a snack. And she wouldn't try my method. She said, it won't work without even trying. Well, if you sell people on a first come basis, individuals have no choice. You make them line up. The person who came first is going to automatically be served. But the chaos that I saw with kids in one corner yelling, Kids in Wonder, and she was running from corner to corner, serving different people. That was her idea of justice. And it's pretty much what I see going on in my country. The idea of justice right now is so distorted. The idea of righteousness is just out of the window. Individuals in my country of Jamaica are down a slippery slope. They're diving deep, but they're going headway into the ocean. And what I'm talking about is not particularly just related to people in Jamaica. It's happening in the other Caribbean areas. You hear women talking about, you know, private conversations they've had with other women describing each other in the most disgraceful ways. We are so divided. And there are a lot of hypocrites in Jamaica. A lot of persons who've had opportunities that have been denied to other people. Always coming out to measure everybody with their yardstick. You grew up in an environment where you had a maid, where you have servants, where you have opportunity to fly overseas, where you get a chance to see and is exposed to all kinds of wonderful things. And then you expect individuals who live in mud huts, individuals who scavenge from garbage bin to feed their children. You expect these individuals to behave the same way you do. Now, if you have training that teaches you good etiquette and someone doesn't have those same training, do you expect to behave the same way? You can't behave the same way. Our enemy is not the slave master anymore. If the slave master has a hand in bringing you to where you are right now, they are no longer there enforcing it. You're doing a mighty good job turning on yourself and each other. You shot somebody in our country, shot and killed the messenger, almost killed the messenger, Bob Marley. And people are shooting and killing each other physically, mentally, spiritually in our island nation and around the world. This is not a Jamaica thing. I only bring it up because I'm on social network and not all of the platforms because I don't have time for all of that. But on Facebook or on YouTube, I see this scourge. It's shameful. It's embarrassing. And I'm not trying to measure it with a yardstick. I'm not trying to say everybody is going to speak the way I do. Everybody's going to have my mindset. Everybody's supposed to be this way. But what I'm trying to say is the new world that we now exist in would require us to come together as a people. But it's not happening because there's a degree of venom that live in black people for black people, a kind of serpent that dwell with us that we refuse to let go, refuse to take out of our space. The hatred for the other person has to do with that self-hate that we carry. It is disheartening, it's discouraging, it is embarrassing. So all who come out with their solutions for Jamaica, if they take a look at themselves and examine their psyche, examine their actions and their thoughts towards the countrymen, then we'll all realize that we all play a role in dividing ourselves and each other. Is there an opportunity for this to change? Of course. Anything can change. Anybody can change. The prejudice that exists in our country is not racially, but there's a class structure in Jamaica where those who are from disadvantaged communities are seen as less than, obviously, And these individuals, in their rebellion, lashes out against the system in ways that are frightening, that are shocking. This rebellious spirit is always within African people and Jamaicans in particular. But the rebellion is not against a system, it's against people within the system. And when I say system, the average man and woman who goes out there trying to figure out their life, struggling, they have something in common with each other in terms of their suffering. And rather than understand that together, you can come together and make changes in your own country, make changes in your own life, you're busy hating each other. And some of us who have moved away, we encourage that. We start up debates and get individuals who don't have jobs, individuals who, you know, don't have any opportunity. They're filled with rage. And instead of us encouraging them and pushing them to unite, we feed that rage. People calling, you know, each other all kinds of names. And I've never heard any other group of people tell each other to do disrespectful things to their mothers as I do and hear from my fellow men and women in Jamaica. And our governments, although I understand that they have their struggles, I don't like when you come out and try to blame the situation in Jamaica on just one person or a few individuals. You all have played a big role in where the country is right now. You usually are people who are not proactive. You're reactionary. You wait until things are out of control, and then you try to come with remedies that involve putting people into prison, you know, stigmatizing a few people. Your methods have not worked. They have failed. And what is happening right now is sort of a response to those failed policies or those things you've done to neglect the people. Any disrespect I see going towards Lisa Anna right now, to me, is not shocking. But what I do know is, and what bothers me is, now that it's leveled against her, your eyes are opened, and I'm sure you're going to come up with solutions to address that. And Lisa Anna, I came under your Facebook and I challenged you on what you were doing for the women. And now that you're in the eye of the storm, now that the fire surrounds you, I hope the other women in positions of power in Jamaica understand what other women have been going through. Your silence was not good. I'm sorry that you had to feel that kind of disrespect, Lisa Anna, from men. But at the same time, I'm saying to you, now you think that this was happening over there to those people and to those women, and somehow felt comfortable in your skin that it wasn't affecting you. Now you know disrespect is disrespect regardless of where it's coming from. And while people's energy should be focused on building and moving forward and becoming a better people, don't be so eager to throw away what is part of your culture and embrace other person's culture. Fix what is within your culture. Embrace what is your culture. Yes, there are barriers and there should be boundaries. Jamaica has always been a place that has pushed away beautiful minds, pushed away persons who had the best intention for Jamaica. And while people are not coming back, or people are leaving because they fear for the safety of their family, they fear crime impacting their lives and probably taking them out of their life, we have never been a society that tried to keep our people by providing opportunities, creating an environment where we show love and teach love and community. We have not been a society that made sure that every child knew who they were, their self-worth, where they looked in their lessons or look in their classroom and or look on their television or listen to their radio and heard positive message of African, spirituality and African, your Africanness, the essence and beauty of what it is to be African. So when you have a country of people divided against itself, governments divided against themselves, religions divided against themselves, no wonder what we have in front of us now is war and more war, conflict and misunderstanding, because a house divided against itself must fall. This goes for every Black person in the world, every Black nation, every culture. A house divided against itself, it must fall. Jamaica is falling because we lack morals, we lack values, we are quick to condemn our brothers and our sisters, we are quick to come with penalties that doesn't allow individuals to grow and change. Quick damnation. We are not into preventative measures. Marcus Garvey left because he didn't feel welcome in his home. Bob Marley left at one point because when someone shoots you, you have no choice but to think that you're not welcome. And if you continue to do this, you will, instead of becoming a strong nation, will just become one that the citizens are each other's worst enemy. It is very sad. And I hope this is going to change. And I hope you take the right choice. Don't forget those who are poor. The impoverished persons are rising up in Jamaica in rebellion. They're doing it through music. They're doing it through attitudes and behaviors that are destructive. But the music is not responsible for the sorry state of the nation. It's the things that we neglect, the individuals we fail to teach and to guide, and the opportunities we refuse to create for our own people. I'm hoping we can all search ourselves and stop pointing finger on somebody else. Because before you know it, if we don't change how we do things and why we're doing certain things, I'm afraid paradise will be lost. Paradise will be lost. And that would be a sad day. Be blessed, African people. We can be right, or we can be happy.